Hey everybody, welcome back to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast. It's been a while. I apologize for that. It's been a schedule thing, man. It's been crazy lately. I try to have Chad in here as often as I can. He's just so busy. And again, for the first time, which bittersweet because I got Marcus Walden here join me.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, dude. But Chad's going to be sitting this one out today. Dude, the guy's got everything under the sun going on.
Game yesterday, game tomorrow.
Yep, game tomorrow and Sunday.
And Sunday. Getting ready for today. So he's busy.
Working, master's degree, a baby's a month away. Like he's up against it.
He's full bore.
So he's doing well though. And he was like, man, go for it. Marcus is going to sit in and you got some big shoes to fill there, bud.
Physical and literal, right there with him.
I wanted to thank Kevin Patrick. Also, we did a game day video about a week ago with the Clovis West baseball team. That was a lot of fun. It's a cool group. But thanks to Kevin and his coaching staff, the players, and we're actually going to be doing some more of that stuff. So, but again, thanks to those guys. Go follow the podcast on Twitter at HIT.OR.DIE podcast and on Instagram at HIT.OR.DIE. Marcus Walden.
Yes, sir.
So first off, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I'm enjoying being home.
You've got another one coming in as well.
I do got another one coming any day now. Honestly, due date is April 11th. That'll be our 4th, and baby girl number 3. I'm super excited. Mama's ready to go. She's
get that baby phase in there and
get the baby going, and that'll be our 4th, and we'll see where we're at from there.
How's baseball wise? How are things looking? What are your plans? Before that,
go ahead.
Obviously, we were not at spring training. When was the last time you weren't at spring training?
Spring training, 2007 was the year I got drafted. So that was the last time I was not at spring training. 2008 and on, I've been in camp, and I've only had one in Arizona, and that was 2015 with the Reds. I was in Arizona for camp, but other than that, I've been in Florida the whole time.
It's kind of crazy.
It has been.
How does it feel not to be there? I mean, obviously you want to be.
I want to be there, and obviously with like the lockout and things were kind of weird, and I was hoping I was going to go to camp with somebody being a free agent, and things just really ended up kind of in a bad shoes, in my opinion. But I think there's a lot of guys in my position. It looks like I'm going to go play independent ball here in a couple of weeks. The season starts end of the month, which works out great for me. I'm going to be home with my wife and be here for the birth of the baby, which I'm super blessed to be here. And I've been blessed to be at hopefully all 4 births of all 4 of our kids in January, September, October, and now in April. So it's kind of all through the year being able to be home, which has been a huge blessing.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's a long time to be away from spring training, but
that is. And so this year it looks like I'm going to go to the Atlantic League. I haven't made exactly where I'm going to go. I think I know I've got some buddies on 2 or 3 different teams out there. Once we have the baby and kind of settle down and get mama ready to be a single mom again, and I'll be ready to go play some ball.
Now you're doing more stuff at DIB in the meantime?
I haven't, honestly. This year I haven't done anything. I've been at home with the kids, and mama loves it. And I actually built a gym at the house out on the farm, and I love it.
I see the videos of you trucking weights around the field.
We've been going a little farmer style out there, and it's been good. It's been great. I enjoy waking up in the morning, getting into the gym. Got in there this morning before the kids wake up, and by the time I'm out of there, serving some breakfast and get going.
Love it, man. No, so was there any opportunities to even play out of the country?
Yeah, we had a couple to play in Mexico. I talked to Laredo was one of them. They wanted me to start. I just couldn't go down to Mexico right away. I think my best chance to get back into pro ball, which is really where we want to go. I think I still have enough. I definitely have the passion, and I think I still have the stuff to pitch in the big leagues.
I don't think that's ever been questioned.
The drive and the passion's there. I still think my stuff's good enough to pitch in the big leagues. The other day I was 92 to 95 and with some good sink on my 2-seamer, and I like where I'm at. Now I just got to go out there, and if I got to go pitch 4 or 5, 6 weeks in independent ball and get picked up, I think that's a good track.
I hopefully you don't mind me bringing this up, but like when you say the passion's still there, like for people at home or people listening or watching, You text me about like adult leagues just to go get working.
Oh yeah, I got
like to get some live EBs.
I got to throw now.
Like you're not above playing anywhere.
I'll play anywhere.
And the other thing that we talked about, and I noticed, and again, just for people listening and watching, we were talking about playing, in Mexico or overseas or other spots. Not one time have you brought up the money.
No. I mean,
ever. Like I never. I got that. But like I've talked to other people about it. And the first thing is, well, this is how much you can make.
Well, yeah. If you go here,
obviously
you
that's important, of course, with the family you got. But like I've never heard you talk about it.
No, I mean, it's where the opportunity is, in my opinion. At the end of the day, you want to go pitch in the big leagues, you got to go. Where is your best opportunity? I mean, you guys talk about at the college level and from high school to college, and where do you want to go play if it's junior college or if it's a D2 or a D1, wherever. You got to go where you can play and whatever that path is, and trust in yourself, and you got to prove it. So if that means you got to go to a lower level to prove it, you got to do that.
And we talk about fit, kind of along the same lines there. I was having a conversation too with somebody regarding one of their kids and looking to play Division I baseball, and it's kind of like they weren't Division I or bust. I don't want to say that, but it at the end of the day, that's where they want to be. And I have to tell this constantly, and people know, and I still have to repeat it, like. The guys that were in the big leagues from around here, I mean, other than Jordan Luplow, they went to JUCO. They went JUCO routes.
That are born and raised in Fresno.
And you go look at who Fresno City's put in the big leagues. Guys that have COS and Labby. There's guys that have gone that route. You talk about playing where you can play. I mean. Is that what you guys kind of encourage kids? I know you guys got a lot of kids going D1 out of DIB.
We got a couple guys, but we got a lot of guys going to NAIA school in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and they love it. And now that same coach has actually moved to Antelope Valley, a junior college here in California. Yeah. And I think we're gonna send a couple kids over there that they wouldn't quite fit at Fresno City. It's more of a Reedley player, but they said they want to go away from home. Well, then how far? Do you want to go? I got a JUCO in Kansas we can send you to. I got a JUCO in Southern California to send you to. But that's where I think it's where you're going to play. And I mean, we got a kid, Chisholm from Chowchilla is going to go down to Antelope Valley. And it's just a fit that he's going to fit down there. But yeah, we do got guys that go D1, but those are the kids that have put the time in, right. and that they're D1 caliber players. But we got guys that went from JUCO to D1. We have guys that Ryan Wiltsey being one of them. Ah. 1 year at Fresno City, go to St. Mary's. I mean, he couldn't ask for a better situation. Pitched had a good game the other day, and
Chad sent me an article that the MLB, and I think we talked about it. It's been a couple weeks since we've done this, so I'm trying to remember things we've covered about the draft and follow coming back and how big that's going to be for JUCO players or the JUCO game itself.
I think that's going to be huge. I mean, I know the last time it was my 1 year of junior college was when Sean was here at Fresno City, and he got drafted and followed by the Rockies 3 years in a row. And on the last day before the draft, which whatever, if the draft was June 8th, they called him on June 6th or 7th and said, hey, we're not taking you. And whoa. And I don't know how they're going to reinstill that to where they got up until spring training to sign.
Yeah.
Or I haven't read what's going on.
You don't want to see that kind of stuff
And so Sean ended up not getting drafted that year and ended up going to LC and worked out and made it to the big leagues, and what a guy. But
Pacific Grove.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until – so that's who Clovis West played last weekend, and he was down here.
He was down here and came into the facility.
He's they hit it with you guys, didn't they?
Yeah, they came into the facility and hit a little bit, and I got to meet their coaches and their program that they're running, and Sean's helping them out, and they're going to be a good program in the future.
No, that's a good deal. Well, so wherever you end up, or you're good at indie ball, good luck, man. And so when would you be heading out again?
Probably the 20th, I would assume. Okay. All God willing that mama and baby are doing good, and things will be looking up from there, and head out to North Carolina or somewhere on the East Coast, I think, and go see where we're at.
So when all of this lockout stuff started, like being in the game and being in the big leagues for a few years, and then AAA last year with Iowa, and just like, was the writing, like, you knew this was coming? Because we've
all known it's coming.
People talked about this is possible, and I think people that were in the know knew the lockout was going to happen. And what were I don't know if you had to be tight-lipped about stuff or
not necessarily. I mean, we had our meetings in the spring trainings and leading up to it, and we knew the CBA was coming to an end, and it was odds. We had a good odds that we were going to lock out. I actually thought it finished a lot faster than I kind of envisioned personally. But we all knew that we had good odds we were going to lock out. There was things that we were fighting for. There were some of them that I personally agree with, some of them that I don't even know exactly what was really going on. One of the big ones that I think that I was really proud personally with like Scherzer and Andrew Miller and some of these really, really big time guys fighting for the rookies, the time manipulation, even the lottery, not the lottery, the jumbo pool of money for the younger players.
Yeah, the compensation
or
whatever.
And it's going to end up going to the Fernando Tatis and Guerrero Jr. Vladdy Jr. Guys like that. It's going to go to them eventually because they're going to have the numbers. They're going to hit 35 homers, 40 homers, whatever it is. But they're going to get paid on the front side to where if they do get injured on year 3, they're not going to be, they don't got to coach for the next 60 years just to stay alive kind of thing. But I think guys like Bobby Witt Jr. are going to get the front end of all this stuff. Torkelson, Ryan Green,
Hunter Green
with the Tigers. And I faced a lot of those guys last year.
Like Adley Rutschman, guys like that.
Man, those guys, I want to see Bobby Witt make the opening day roster.
I'm telling you, he's
I watched him, and golly, I played some really good players in AAA baseball. He is one of the best. I mean, I played Trey Turner.
It looks like he
is the truth.
On the right way there.
And I think I think he's got some stuff to do defensively at shortstop if he wants to play shortstop. But I mean, dude, I think he's 20, 21, 22 years old. It's something
Is
silly.
it pretty, like when you see guys that young, that talented, is it mind blowing to you?
No, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'll go out there and watch his BP. I mean,
Chad and I were talking about that with Riley.
Riley Green,
Austin Riley. Sorry.
Okay. And I faced him when he was in.
But to think that guy's 24 years old,
yeah,
I'm just like, dude, what?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You get guys that are the same age, Rafi Devers.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if this is accurate, and you could agree since you did play with him. Okay, you tell me if I'm wrong, because I know he's highly touted, but I think he's still under talked about.
Well,
underrated, not underrated because he's legit. I don't think he's talked about enough
on the West Coast.
Maybe, yeah, that's fair.
There was a lot of people that had no clue who Mookie Betts was. Mookie Betts on the East Coast was the best ball player on the East Coast when the time he came over to the Dodgers. No, there was people on the West Coast that never heard of him. Dodger fans going, "Hey, is he going to be any good?" What? And then he signs for $360 before he played a game for him, and he's that good.
Yeah, people asking about Mookie
He is
Betts.
that good.
Need to stop watching baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And so and I think Rafi is unbelievable.
He's
one of the funnest people to watch live. There's things, his antics that are just childish, but he's having fun. He's a 17-year-old kid playing in the big leagues, doing things, and he's going to make errors that a 17-year-old would do when he's having that much fun. But he hits the ball that is just, the ball comes off his bat different.
I mean,
different backside homer pop.
I know they're your
silly.
former team, but I know you also have a lot of mates on that.
Oh yeah,
and that organization
is more of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of relationships from that, and I'm telling you, I don't know if they're going to win the division, but I have them making the wild card.
I think it's going to be tough.
Their offense is going to be pretty good, man. I think if
it's going to be fun. I think the Blue Jays are going to be fun to watch.
I've got them winning, but the East in both in NL and AL are going to be freaking insane.
And so the East is going to be fun to watch the whole way through. I think the Red Sox got some stuff to handle. The Yankees are going to be good, obviously.
Yeah.
Blue Jays they're going to pitch, and that's the one thing they went after, and they got a bunch of arms, and that's kind of what I like. I like what the Angels did this offseason with getting bullpen arms. There's going to be some good teams that haven't been in there in a while, and I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the AL West is going to be hopefully a little improved. I like what Seattle did too.
Yeah, Seattle made some big moves. I mean, I grew up a Mariners fan. My dad's from the area, so it's going to be fun to kind of watch them. Hopefully be good again.
Shout out Donnie Walton.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to see that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Seattle win that division.
I would. Yeah.
I still think Houston's probably got the edge, but they're starting pitching.
Only because they've been there.
Yeah, but it's also a little unproven. They're starting pitch. I mean, Verlander's not the same Verlander.
He looked good the other day.
Did he really? Okay.
I watched him. I watched three at bats, and it was Verlander. It was.
I just wouldn't be surprised, and I think the Angels, again, this goes for everything, barring injury.
Yeah,
they're going to put some runs up on the board too.
That they are, and I think that I like where they put a lot of money in their back end bullpen.
Yeah,
I like Aaron Loop. I played with.
Well,
him.
that's kind of where the game's at, which is kind of surprising to see. Guys like you, you mentioned some guys who you threw with a week ago.
Oh yeah,
that are still free agents,
big time.
When that's kind of where the game's going. That heavy bullpen.
And what you're seeing is a lot of guys, in my opinion, like Michael Wacha. I watched him throw, and he was with the Rays last year, and I think he's a great arm. To me, an underrated player, but a guy that can go out there in 3, 4, 5 innings at a time, or be in the bullpen, and you're making $3.5, $4 or $5 million, whatever that is, as opposed to paying a 1 inning reliever 10, 12, 15 million. I like those 3 inning relievers a lot more. That's why the Rays, I think, they kind of piece it together a lot better. And I think guys are going to do that this year because of a short spring training.
Yeah, and
starters aren't going to be at 95, 100 pills right out the jump. And I think if they're smart, they know they still have a lot of off days. They're going to run shorter rotations. I think they're going to try to space guys out a little bit. But it'll help the long relievers. But we'll see with the expanded rosters and kind of see where they're going to play it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I remember when Robbie Ray first didn't stay with Toronto, and you hear people get upset about moves like that, or with Boston letting Mookie go, and you see that a lot. But then you turn around and see, the moves that Toronto made, what they were able to use that money to get.
Correct.
Not re-signing a Robbie Ray.
Correct.
Right. We got 3 for the price of 1. Mm-hmm. And then with the Marlins, they did that deal years ago with Yelich and Stanton, and you see, we suck now, but in 3 years you see what the trade brought you.
Correct. And I think the A's are going to see the fruit of that.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
They got some guys in the minor leagues. And they were a good organization when I was
with
them.
They were.
And it sucks watching like Chapman leave and guys that I played with the A's. But I think they're going to be give them a couple of years, and I think they're going to figure out where they want to be also. Are they going to stay in Oakland? I don't know. And that's where I'm like, if they move, maybe they'll go and get some money and put it in the team and maybe go and compete.
It's kind of what the A's do. They build, and then it's time to tear it all down. And because they've never been an organization that pays top dollar.
It's hard to pay over 60, 70, $80 million.
They just they just don't do it. And they've had success. I mean, not... I guess it depends on what you measure your success by. Winning World Series is the only way.
There's some teams that do, and then it's all, at the end of the day, it's a business for these guys, and that's a cold game. And I've seen the bottom side of it a lot, and it's kind of crazy, but it's a passion that I love. I love playing. It's a fun game to play.
Like, what do you when you're out at City, and I know you go out a lot and you try to watch as much as you can, which I think. I just love it, man. Oh, yeah. Do you find yourself coaching when you go out there?
More times than I want to, personally. But more like
more time. Why do you say it like that?
Just, I'll be looking at guys, and guys are they're working, but they don't know what they're working on. And so, like, if you try to give them a little bit of guidance, then that 20 minutes they're going to spend on throwing a breaking ball, now you're actually going to hone in what they're trying to spend that 20 minutes on. And that's kind of where I find myself at City, or if I'm watching bullpens, and that's kind of where I like putting my time and my effort is. A guy's already going to put the work in. Let's try to get some actual good work instead of just spinning our wheels for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not just throwing.
Exactly. And so that's kind of, I like doing that. I mean, even when I do when I do lessons, I like throwing. I don't really do a lot of drills. Do I understand drills? Yeah, but that's your own time. You're wasting, in my opinion, you're wasting your money and my time, me giving you a drill. We're here to throw. Let's throw. Let me work on how we're going to throw. That's just the way I've done it. I think the drills, I'll give you drills to go home and do.
Well, yeah, you can get drills on YouTube for free.
Exactly. But if you're going to pay me pretty good money for a 30-minute lesson or an hour-long lesson, let's throw. And so that's the way I like throwing bullpens, and I throw a lot. So I like working with guys in bullpens. My favorite is live ABs because everybody can pitch. And Ryan Wiltsey is one of them that he's got good stuff, but he doesn't have unbelievable stuff. But then you teach him how to pitch, use his fastball, his breaking ball, and his changeup, when to use it, where to put it, things like that. In live ABs, they're just different pitchers. So that's where I like putting my time in, because I can start seeing guys work and they start understanding and start figuring it out, as opposed to just go up there and throw sliders and try to throw it down and away. No, yes, you need to do that, but you gotta work and and set pitches up tunnel. And me and Tyson Perez did it a lot this offseason. Yeah. It was fun working with Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson's a great dude, man. You know, I love that. Augie Garrido said in one of this documentary they did a few years back, gosh, it's been about a decade now, about, you know, it's like pool, you know, and you're setting up one shot for the next shot.
Correct. When you're good at it.
But that's the way your bullpen should work. You know, I mean, I always love going to Fullerton and watching like Coach Serrano. I've been down there a couple times when he was there, and he was really big on competitive bullpens.
Yeah,
like almost game like. And if they were squatting, I saw him do this a few times, but they were, you know, who's next? Okay, and the next guy coming in for squad was down in the bullpen, and they almost ran it like it was a pitching change, and they made it as real as possible. I just that kind of stuff I just love about baseball when coaches do that kind of stuff. But you know, sticking to the business side with the lockout, because I don't know a lot about you mentioned manipulation of players' service time. And I've been wanting to ask you this, and Chad and I discussed it. Can you get into what that actually means? Because in that lockout, the players were, wanting to stop that, how teams do
stop the time manipulation.
And how it affects free agency or getting to, because they wanted the years cut down.
Correct.
Because of how they do, like Chris Bryant's the one example everybody goes to. Kind of get into that. So, because I don't even fully understand.
A full year of service is 172 days of service, counting off days, counting the All-Star break. You get 172. A full season counts as 186, I believe. There's 186 from opening day till the last game of the season. A full season is technically counted at 172. With the service manipulation is you need 3 years of service to be ARB eligible, 6 years of service to be a free agent. So there's we can go three different scenarios, like Chris Bryant. Didn't make the team out of camp, even though he should have, got called up on day number 45, missed ARB by, I think it was 7 days, 8 days. The owners know what is going on, like before it's all said and done. Like there's guys that, we'll say Chris Bryant, that was 2010, 2014. So whoever it was, say another guy had already been in the big leagues for half the season, like Aaron Judge gets called up half the year from July on. They already know that guy's going to be in the big leagues at that point. So now they're not going to send him down for 3/4 of a year to miss ARB. But they'll keep Chris Bryant out for 50 days. The Cubs aren't going to win in those first 45 days. So that's how so he missed ARB by whatever it was, 7 days. So he had to go a year later. Marcus Stroman on the lockout, right? So he had 5 years of service and 145 days, 155 days of service when he signed with the Mets, when he signed his the 1 year for $19 million. What was that? Not a non-compete, but whatever. Almost like a franchise tag, but I forget what it's called.
Qualifying offer?
Qualifying offer. There you go. So he signed that. During the 2020 short season, he was on the active roster, but on the DL for 20 days, got his 6 years of service, and opted out. And then he became a free agent. So he took what every other team has been doing to every other player and held it up against him.
Yeah, put there.
And I was like, man, personally, I think that's weak. But at the end of the day, they do it to all of us. So that was like where he got on the front end of it. One of my buddies, Ryan Brazier, right, with the Red Sox, he got sent down to, in 2019, we're together in the big leagues. He gets sent down. He was down for like 21 to 24 days. I forgot what it was. And he wasn't pitching good in the big leagues, but when he got sent down, 8 days later was throwing the ball well again. All zeros, punching guys out, had command of his fastball. He gets called up on day 22. He misses ARB by 7 days, 5 days. 5 days of arbitration he misses. So he calls me in the offseason. He's like, hey, what's up going on? He's like, dude, I just found out I missed ARB by 5 days. I was like, hey, Brace, no big deal, bro. You're with the Red Sox. It's only $500,000. It's not a big deal. And he goes, I'm going to throw up. You know, this
Were you
guy,
being sarcastic?
I was 100% sarcastic. Okay. No big deal. It's
April Fool's, but Jesus Christ, dude. Like, don't fuck.
It's $500,000. Like, and so he ended up missing arbitration. He ended up pitching pretty well in 2020, whatever the next year was, and ended up signing a pretty good deal, 1.25.
I think it was
last year he signed for 1.25.
So it was 2020 then.
2020 threw good, pretty good on the back
21.
end.
He had one where he was just like lights out.
2018 was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that was he signed a minor league deal on February 27th. Non-roster camp, like didn't go to big league camp, just got minor league camp and made the team and was unbelievable the rest of the year. Like that's where I know if I get a chance like he had, to where you just get in front of people, it's up to you to dominate, and he dominated all the way through the World Series that year. So he misses R by 7 days. The following year signs for league minimum again, which is still good money, but $625 compared to $950 or 1.2. He ended up getting 1.2 the next year, and then 1.4 this year. So he could have got 1.2, then 1.4, and then this year he could have got 2.2. So in the grand scheme of things, it was $650 or 2.2. So it's really 1.5 million, and that's where that's manipulation of 6 or 7 days. Could he have fought it? Maybe, but he wasn't pitching well enough in the big leagues with a 6.2, 6.5 ERA to go and fight. He also was behind the 8 ball, knowing that he didn't know that he was going to miss ARB on these last 4 or 5 days. He knew he was close and he knew he was right there, but he didn't know that was the ticker. Those last 4 or 5 days was going to miss at least $500,000, could be upwards of more.
Dude, that's insane.
But that's where guys like Bobby Witt Jr., right? Or the Royals going to win a World Series this year?
No.
Odds aren't very good, right? We'll give it a 1% best.
Most likely not.
They got studs in the minor leagues. MJ Melendez, Prado, the first baseman, is unbelievable. Young kid also. And Bobby Witt is just the best of those 3. They got some other guys in the minor leagues too that are good that I faced in AAA. But if Bobby Witt would not make the opening day roster without the new CBA. There's no way they would bring him up. They go, hey, Bobby, just let's get 60 days of ground balls in AAA, and then we'll call you up, and then we won't worry about it. And then in 3.5 years, we'll pay you ARB1, and you're not going to be. It's a difference from being a free agent in right now 2022, free agent in 2028 or 2029.
And that's
the big thing.
I don't know how. Yeah, and I don't think most people, if they didn't understand, I mean, if you just look at it a little bit, like. You get why the player, like why they want this, because you're affecting my bottom line, right? You care about your bottom line, obviously. I've always wanted to know like most player perspective and just more detail on. I don't know. I think it's pretty shitty, to be honest.
It is, but again, it's a business, right? And your family has a business. You don't just go and pay your employees because they had a really good day and they made a sale for we'll call it $10,000. You don't pay them $100,000 for it. Good job. We'll hope you get another one. No, hey, we're going to keep paying you whatever we pay you. Keep doing good. We'll give you an incentive, but they don't just. I don't want to call it waste money, but they don't blow money like that. It's still a business.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, they're spending a lot of money on guys. $33, $35, $38 million a year, whatever it is. But they, and I think that's where the minor league guys kind of get cut out. And I think it's getting crazier and crazier with 120 minor league guys. And that was something in the CBA that I saw was that they're cutting down minor league players. And so they've already cut out a farm team. They've already cut out more guys. I think it's going to change the way the draft is made.
Well, is it going to stay 20 rounds?
I think it's going to stay 20 rounds from my understanding. I don't think high school guys are going to get picked. I think you're going to go to college. JUCO guys, the JUCO game's going to change, I think, a little bit for the better. You might get more fringe players that want to get drafted like it used to be back when me and Chad played, in my opinion. But I'm curious on how that's all going to play out because they're not going to give guys 4, 5, 6 years anymore in the minor leagues, right? I mean, like myself, I would have never made it. I didn't get to AA, and I broke camp in low A my 6th year. That's embarrassing. But at the same time, I had 2 years of
maybe for you. Guess when I broke camp, I never broke camp.
I mean, I'm not breaking camp this year.
I got you.
But on my 6th year, and that's where a lot of guys are like, man, on year 5 or year 6, you should be in AA. Yeah, but I mean, I had 2 years of being injured. I had some other things, and that's kind of where I think there's guys that are finding every year. There's guys that are finding that hard spot right now in spring training. They're going to release 20, 30 guys every year, every team. Right now in camp, and it's right now. And all those guys are going to go either flip burgers or go to indie ball. And so they pay the same. If you're wondering, it's the same pay. It's all peanuts. But
it's passion.
It's all passion, man.
It's that you're not ready you still have something left to give.
100%. And it's going out there and competing, and I love doing it. And you got to enjoy the grind of the off days, not the off days, but the days you're not pitching just as much as going out there and competing.
Yeah, because the game, I tell that to the younger guys too. Like, it's going to end for you. Like, you're lucky, honestly.
Oh, big time. When I signed my first minor league deal, I had a catcher, Jack Murphy. He went to Princeton. Great catcher. Ended up just, I think, 5 or 6 years in AAA. But he was like, hey, you're one of very few guys to even sign a minor league deal. Like, you're playing your 8th year of professional baseball. And I think about it, and it's like, I've done it twice now. It's 7 years and 7 years of just free agency ball. And it's crazy to think how many guys they get 1 or 2, 3 years. And, I listen to some of the podcasts, and there's a lot of guys that get 1 or 2 years and they love it. If they could do it all over again, they'd want to play it again. And those are the guys that keep me going to saying, why would I don't want it. There's no way I'm giving it up. My buddy's 37. Austin Bibbins-Dirk's one of my really good friends with the Blue Jays and really got me into winter ball and all this. I was thinking about going to play in Mexico with him. 37 years old, 17th season this year.
That's crazy.
And I love it.
Yeah, good for him, man.
And it's like one of my boys, and if I can get down to Mexico and go play with him, that would be a team that I'd jump on that. Down there in Monterey, it'd be a good spot. But guys like, the passion. He had a job offer and was actually going to take it in 2019 to coach. And then he ended up wanted to throw and played indie ball a little bit and went to Taiwan and made some money, came back, played with the Dodgers a little bit in AAA last year. And, dude, that's grinding. 17 years is...
You got to love it.
Oh, I love it.
You have to love it.
And it's a lot of it is who...
And you got to have
your other half. You
got to have a strong wife to be able to pull that off.
100%. And especially when they're single mom at home, it's not easy. When they're traveling with us, I like it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. But, I like coming home and having the kids with me. And good, bad, or indifferent, man. It don't matter. They don't know what happened in the game. They know that there was a game, and that was about it. Yeah. So it's fun, and hopefully take my son out there a little bit more.
I was going to ask you, too, going on the I think I talked to a minor leaguer. I won't say his name. About, like, if the lockout had continued, I think it was, we called it was Gamboa, okay, about the minor leaguers stepping up. If the owner said, you know what, like replacements, right? Would you have had a problem?
I text my agent. I said, if you wanted me to cross the line, boy, I'm in.
So would that have been, but it would have, he was just kind of like, I think the veteran guys would look down on me for that. Like they would, and I'm like, that's your opportunity to say you're a big leaguer, dude. Who cares if it's a lockout? Like if the season goes on and the owner said, all right, we're going to fill it with minor league players.
Yeah. I don't know how that looks now. Yeah, I don't know. In my situation, I'm playing.
Yeah. You're going to pay me to play baseball? Whatever. Yes, I don't care who's in the league or not in the league.
Now,
that was my impression.
As a younger minor league guy, I don't know where I know he's somewhere in the minor league system with the Dodgers, correct?
I think AA this year.
Okay, so, and if he has
don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Wherever he breaks, right? At the end of the day, breaking camp is number one important. But, yeah, if your future is you got 10 years in the big leagues, I probably wouldn't mess with it. If you think this is your chance to really prove that you could pitch at that level.
If you have 0 and you're 23, 22, 23 years old.
Yeah, and there's some guys that are up and coming that are like Tanner Houck, one of my buddies with the Red Sox. Like, no, he's going to go. He's a right-handed Chris Sale. He's a big-time arm. Like, those guys know you don't play. Like, the big leaguers will take care of you financially, pay your bills, whatever you need. They'll loan you money if you need it. But as a youngster, he would be in a tough situation, in my opinion. Me, I'm playing.
I just thought that was it. I'm playing, yeah.
I'm jumping, man. Anything I could do to play. I love it.
I was going to ask you something. I know it's April 1st today, and I saw this morning, and I just thought it was rather interesting. I don't know if it's April Fool's joke or not. It's from the LA Times, and basically it describes or talks about rearranging the division realignment for big leagues, for Major League Baseball. Each division. They use the example of 2022, the Angels will play 19 games against the Rangers and 0 against the San Diego Padres.
Correct.
And in 2023, they will play 14 games against the Rangers and 3 against the Padres. Major League Baseball is expected to consider a radical realignment, but only after the Oakland Athletics and Tampa Bay Rays resolve their long-running searches for new ballparks And after 2 expansion teams come to Major League Baseball, making it 32.
Now we're talking.
I'm on board with this because I think when they're talking about growing the game, you put Los Angeles playing more games with San Diego and Arizona, and Anaheim playing more with the Dodgers and the Giants. I mean, California would benefit from something like this with the fan base and the order. Listen, it's a money grab a little bit too, right? You're going to sell more tickets. You're going to probably save on some cost of travel.
Black out some games.
Yes. You're definitely going to get more revenue out of it, but you're also going to, I want to see those games. You keep rivalries intact.
Now that they're competitive, those teams are competitive. Yeah. So you would want something that looked like 2020, where you stayed in your region. But so what I heard in 2023 is that they were talking about playing one series outside of your division against every other team. So right now, we'll say the Dodgers. So the NL West, they play all the NL teams, 6 games in the Central and the East, and then 19 games on the West. Then they'll only play one of the divisions in the NL for a 6-game set. They don't play the other 2 divisions right now. So you'll have there'll be 10 teams you don't play through the whole year. And in 2020 we played NL, AL, all localized, so East Coast, Central, West Coast. They're talking about doing a 3-game set, some home, some away, not a 6-game set against every single team in the league, and then cutting down your own divisional games is what 2023 is talking about. If they add teams and then you're going to run 16 teams in each division, the AL and the NL, I think it'd be kind of cool because you don't need interleague games every single game.
Right.
There doesn't have to there doesn't have to be an interleague. So you can kind of have a floating schedule to where you're going to have interleague games, but it'll be across the board. It can almost be like where they'd have the interleague weeks back when.
You also talk about the off days, right? There's sometimes your off day is the travel day.
Sometimes.
You know what I mean? Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you could travel, you play, and you're at home stand for a little bit, and you'll have an off day in between there, and you stay home.
The only true off day is when you're home.
Yeah, you play Monday or Sunday at 1, and you're traveling all Sunday to play Monday night.
Usually, yeah, or you'll play Tuesday, but it's in Anaheim from Boston, like you're traveling across the coast.
If you could keep teams local a little bit more.
But now you're not going to see the Yankees as a West Coaster.
But see, the Yankees come out here once a year at the best anyways.
They play 6 games, but now they're going to play 15 games in California.
And that's kind of my thing. You still want to see the Yankees come out to the A's.
I still want the Yankees to play 6 games against the A's, 3 at home, 3 on the road, but I need them to play 3 games in San Francisco or 3 games in L.A.
Or both.
Well, it'd be hard because then it'd be 3 and 3.
Got you.
Some of them.
Got you. You're adjusting it all the schedules at that point.
Correct. One of them is going to. So let's say we'll say the Dodgers, for instance, going to play the AL East. Boston will come to L.A., but they're going to go to New York. Baltimore will come to L.A. They're going to go to Tampa, and then whatever, it's a coin flip with Toronto.
Yeah.
They'd hopefully come to America.
I mean, you're still going to see the Bryce Harper and the Phillies make their West Coast trip. I don't think you can bang that stuff, but I think if you can...
What they're trying to do is add more on... I still like playing 6 games of your AL versus AL non-divisional games, but then playing 3 games of the NL, all the NL teams playing a 3-game set, or even a 4-game set would be kind of cool, to where if you did have to do a 2-2, you can fix it. You can put it in the schedule.
Yeah, I think
we had some 2-2s in 2020. We had some 2-2s in 19, so I think it would be kind of cool. I just want the added teams in the big leagues. That's just more jobs.
I believe. Hey,
that's 14 more relievers right there.
Always looking at an angle.
You got to get. It's all about just getting a job.
It's hustling, man.
Hey,
and these rules within all that, the lockout stuff is, the bigger bases to me is just kind of laughable or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
Those suck. We did them in AAA. Those suck. We did them in Worcester last year, and it was weird. Now, it's not like the softball base with the orange
extended. No,
it's
just
literally a
bigger
base. They're weird. I went to cover first base, and it was just really different. But then second base is whatever that is, it's 6 inches closer
Combined, yeah. You're,
with the bigger base.
there is eliminating some bang plays.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly how they did it, but the base is bigger, but the peg never moved. So the base literally just went in fair territory more. Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying?
They must have designed the base to be like that.
But they never moved the pegs. I was talking to the field. It was weird. It was a weird situation.
Did you notice that, or did somebody else?
No, we knew they were coming into play also. We had them for 2 weeks in Worcester.
That's just weird, 'cause, you would think it'd be, they must have designed the base that way. Left it is and just add 3 inches to one side. You know what I mean?
But then the second base was
square.
It's literally just a bigger square.
So you literally have a first base. You can't just put any base in any peg.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
all I know is they didn't move the pegs like 3 inches in play or inch and a half in play.
I think it's stupid. Whatever.
That's a bad one. I don't like it.
Where are you at on the pitchers not hitting now in both leagues?
I love it. Did you see my at bat?
I saw your at bat. It's one of my favorite at bats in the big leagues.
I was having a good conversation with my boy Murphy behind the dish.
I wish you would have just let it one fly.
I would have had one day in the pros.
That's true. Still, that'd been one hell of a day.
If you got one.
I guess.
If you got one. I don't know. I mean, I got to hit BP one time in Fenway and hit a homer, and I'm like, if I could have hit a homer in a game or hit a homer, and I like the homer in Fenway. I got to get some time out of it, and that was a big win in Arizona. That was huge. That was one of the cooler parts of my career in that year in 19, being able to get called back up and being home, and huge win, fight money. It was fun. It was fun. It was, they ended up splitting some money between Mitch Moreland got it, and he gave half the money to the relievers or the guys that pitched that day. And me and Hector Velasquez, and I think there was one or two other guys that threw that day. But it was kind of cool for getting back into the big leagues, and it was not eye-opening, but it was kind of cool to jump right into that fire again.
Not bad, dude.
So
always itching, dude. I love it. The other one we talked briefly before we started, because you saw the college player get it was 2 strikes. He didn't like the strike 2 call. I don't feel like he showed up the umpire, but gets out of the box. It was a Florida hitter.
Okay, I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
And he stepped out of the box. I guess he was warned by the umpire. Didn't get back in. And
that same pitch or earlier in the at bat?
Was that same at bat? Just right after he took that pitch, didn't like the call, which, I mean, he should have banged it.
Yeah.
But he got warned to get in the box, didn't get in the box. They called his strike, loaded strike 3, and he was out.
Tough tickets.
Everybody I'm talking, and that's kind of the response. Well, that's the rule. That my problem is why is that a rule?
Because it takes some people, and I don't even want to throw him another. He's a kid. All right. There's people that just take too long to get in the box. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily walking up to the box. Like when I played in Venezuela, I learned it takes a while for them to get in the box. They like listening to their song. I don't necessarily know the song that's getting played, so I'll just put my head down. And when the song stops, I look up. And you'll notice that I do that now. Like you can't see my eyes. Boom, the song stops, I look up, get my sign, and let's go. It takes 25, 35, 40 seconds for some of these guys to get in the box. Now, in between pitches, I'm over it. I kind of want to get the at-bat going. But some guys they want to get out of the box and bitch and moan, and they want to take their 30 seconds, and they're resetting is what they're doing.
And they're taking a deep breath, and they're moving on from whatever they thought what it was.
Yeah.
Good call, bad call.
Exactly. Good call, bad call. But they're pissed. They're not over it yet. They're still pissed. They're telling the umpire they're mad about it. And they're out of the box. And once you step in the box, I'm going. They're not going to get quick pitch. They're trying to reset their mind also. I understand what the pause is, why they're out of the box. But if I get a bad call, I don't get to stomp around the mound and wait my turn.
Well, you're on a clock as well.
Yeah, exactly. We got 14 seconds to get it going.
But that's what I'm saying. So I guess the point is it is to speed up play.
Yeah, it sucks. It doesn't work, in my opinion. I mean, I think if your infielders told you to speed up the play, you should speed up your play. And their infielders are going to tell you how if they're making plays for you, you're pitching fast enough.
And I know, like, you watching big leaguers or watching you guys go, big league pitchers, most of the guys have their own
We
pre-pitch setup routine. Like every pitch
there's a
is
lot of
kind of
things
the
going
same.
on in the head though too. Like there's a lot. I notice when I'm slowing down, and it's usually with a guy on second base, guy on third base.
It's deliberate though.
It's deliberate. It's all right. This is what I'm thinking. This is my other option. Let's see what the catcher calls. He's got an idea also. Maybe he sees something that I don't. Or also, what sign are we using? We got 5 signs in our hat.
Sequence?
What sequence?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. What really is the situation?
Do you guys do looks change? Is it always the same? I mean, because I know in high school it's an easier process to understand. I'm sure it gets more complicated in college. And then big leagues.
This is what kind of rattled me the last 2 years, especially listening to announcers. Oh, he's looking in his hat for the spray chart or the scouting.
Right,
no,
the little card.
It's not. It's nothing to do with. It's literally our signs, so we know what signs we're using. So we can't go out there and be like, hey.
Well, you're on a clock now.
Well, not only a clock, but you can't mound visits. When they did the mound visits thing, the Red Sox, we thought we were the brightest people ever. Hey, we're gonna go 4 different sets of signs. We'll put shit in our hat. We got 5 signs in our hats. I literally go out there, I got 10 sets of signs. Now, they could be as simple as first sign, second sign, shake first, shake first.
So they
could be super simple. They could also be strikes +1, outs +1, ABE, whatever, the first pitch indicator, last pitch indicator, whatever it could be. I like doing something super simple where they're going to change. I like saying shake after 3, sign after 3, whatever. There's 5 or 6 sequences that I really like using. Most of them are after a certain number. That way it's just indicator after. So sign after 2, 2, 2. That's breaking ball 2, 2 or whatever. So like that. So we're changing our signs every other pitch. Against the Yankees, it's you're coming set. Come set. No, we think he had it. Step off. Change the sign. All right, now we're going to outs +1. All right, shit. There's 2 outs. Third sign. Sanchez is up. Slider away. Heater in. No. Oh fuck. Step off. Now you're doing this whole thing again, and now right? It's
now
a
you
full
got to burn a
game.
visit sometimes.
Exactly, and you only got 6 in a game. What if you've used 2 because of something happened earlier in the game? Whatever. We ran out of visits before. Whatever. You make the pitching change.
You're good.
Whoa. Make the pitching change. Those are the things where they were all of our sequences on our cards. The catchers, most of them are their sequences. Do they have some scouting stuff on there? Yeah, they do. But is it everything? Like, no. There's very few like pinpoint things. First pitch, punch out. What are we going to? Most of it's what our pitchers have. What are they really good at? Just to give them keep it in their head so they know. But there's a lot of things going on. And that's the chess game of baseball. That's what I love about it. That's what really drove me into pitching.
That's why pitchers don't need to hit.
100%. There's a lot of other things going on in our head. And if you're really good like Andy Underwood, you just read the fishing news when you're done. Bro, it's like I'll never forget that. Like it's just how relaxed he was is the way you want to be. I mean, that's who I think of like Greg Maddux. It's like he's pitching, he's done pitching. I could read the newspaper. He's so calm, cool, and collected. And that's how Andy was when he was at City. But that's where there's so much things going on mentally while you're pitching. Once you come in, and that's where guys, in my opinion, guys get in trouble. Managers. You tell a guy that he's done or he thinks he's done, he doesn't know he's going back out, and you completely shut off your head. Oh, go get him. I've turned it off. I'm not turning my head back on. So that's where guys, I think, if you don't know you're going back out, the manager or the coach needs to make sure they tell you you're still in the game, kind of thing.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of guys get hurt, and they don't understand. All right, well, I got out of my big jam, or being really high heart rate coming in the 6th inning with bases loaded, 1 out, and getting out of it. It's going to be hard to go back out for the 7th. You're not in the same mind frame, heart rate, things like that are just different. I know we talked about that a little bit last time.
But let's not beat around the bush here.
Yeah.
Drew prepares you for,
Drew, some of our mental stuff is good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Our neuro box is.
If you ever need a guy, Drew's the guy.
Yes, the neuro box stuff.
And not just baseball now. He's multiple athletes in multiple sports.
I mean, right now he's big into guys racing cars.
Yeah, Carson.
Carson's killing it, dude. And I mean, golly, he's
Macedo, by the way, for people wanting to know, Carson Macedo sprint car. Yeah, that's a passion. Him and I.
Yeah,
he gets to go way more than I do. I hate it. I wish I could just tag along one day.
If you tag along, you will see some places.
I would love to.
Bro, he'd take you on an East Coast trip.
That's our next game day. I'm gonna tag along with.
He's
Drew.
gonna go East Coast this year, and he'll make some stops.
I'm trying to make the trip back to Tennessee. They're going back to Bristol for the sprint car weekend. I might see if I can get out there for that.
There you go. It'd be a good one.
So now it ended with this though. You were talking about managers and making moves on it. So in the news last week, and we kind of talked about it before again. You know, Dave Roberts says, hey, the Dodgers, on his own now, putting it out in the world that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series 2022.
Now, did that question, what happened there? You don't just jump up and go, hey, by the way, we're going to do this. Somebody had to ask a question.
I think he backpedaled on, it was Dan Patrick, and it was, you know,
how's your team looking?
Barring that we stay healthy, you know, of course, that's for any team. I mean,
so he got asked, how's your team looking? And he goes, we're going to win the World Series.
And you kind of made it a pretty simple answer as to what is he supposed to say?
Well, that's exactly
what is your coach, your manager supposed to say?
If your manager goes, I think we're going to be okay.
We might be.
We're going to try to win 90 games this year. You go, what?
No, we're going to win. We're going to win the West.
Yes.
And we're going to roll through the World Series, and we're going to win the World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's what you want. Your manager should think that about your team.
Yeah.
Unless you're like in Baltimore or
there's only like 4 or 5 teams that their manager doesn't really be like, all right, we got it. We got to get a chance here. But might be 4 or 5 teams that aren't going to win the World Series. But every other team, his team needs to.
As a player, maybe within the NL West or just in baseball, like that's, I'm sure most players thought, well, what's he supposed to, I wouldn't want my manager to say that about us. Would it affect you differently if another player had come out and said it?
It would. Yeah, that would be different for sure. Because your job is to not talk.
Like, okay, I don't want to use Mookie because you guys are your boys. I like him too much. So I'll say I don't know. Will Smith came out and said,
"We're going to win the World Series.
We're going to win the World Series. Period. Put a stamp on it."
I mean,
do your ears perk up a little bit, and it's like, I can't wait to fucking face you.
Yeah, but he should be that confident too. I mean, they got us.
It's kind of the same concept. I want my teammates
to be that confident in our players, as opposed to like, I don't need one of my peers to be confident in us. You know what I mean? Like you of course you say Will Smith, and you think of I think of the catcher, the captain, the guy that's seeing the whole thing. He's a second coach.
Sure,
is the first thing that comes to my mind.
And he
needs to think that same thing.
He's turned into a beast, by the way.
Yes, he has. Sneaky. I like him. But the manager has to have that mentality. In my opinion.
I think the other part to this is that if it were the Texas Rangers, nobody'd give a shit. It's the Dodgers.
Correct.
Everybody, for the most part, hates the Dodgers.
And that's what, I mean, if you either love them because you're a huge Dodger fan, or you hate them because they're the Dodgers.
And so I think that also plays a big role into why it was a story at all.
Would it be that big if Boone said the same thing right now?
Maybe it might carry some of that. I don't think so, though. And I think the Yankee fans would love every second of that.
They would love it. They'd want it more because they haven't won in 12 years at least, right? So that's where I'm like...
2009, I think.
Yeah, so 13 years they haven't won, and that's where you would want, if I'm Judge or Donaldson walking in and going, yeah, we are going to win. Like, I want Boone to be like, dude, we're going to win the World Series. Like, look at this team. We got it. And... so that's where I think it'd be kind of fun, and you get into the East Coast, and just like, so for instance, the whole Savage thing.
Yeah.
That was like, right, and everybody was like, you're right. You guys are a bunch of huge savages.
Like something like that, if you weren't in, that shit, you were in after that.
But it got me fired up.
Yeah.
But then I'm warming up, and you got fans in the back of you going, hey, we got a bunch of savages, and they're screaming and cussing.
People bought into that shit, man.
Not people.
Yankee. Chad bought that shirt.
Exactly. Things like not even Yankee fans. Yeah. You know what I mean? And bro, they were screaming it, and you think about it, and you're getting in there, and I know I'm facing Judge, and they're going, we got a bunch of savages, and you're going, fuck, he's 6'8", 265. You're not lying, dude. You do got a bunch of savages out here.
And going back to like what you're doing on the mound with, we were talking about the pitch clock. You're looking in your cap for signs. I'm picking up, looks. Oh, and shit, there's 6'8" Aaron Judge in the box.
Yeah. Or Stanton with his closed foot on top of the home plate. And then the
atmosphere.
Oh, you love it. That's the best part. That's the best part.
And it's like,
that's why 2020 sucked, in my opinion. I hated it. And I'm not because I had a bad.
Most people. Well,
that I had a bad year, because I had a bad year, but that sucked. The whole thing sucked. AAA baseball last year was way more fun. Worcester killed it. We were 12,000, 14,000 fans a game. And it was so much fun. And it was AAA baseball compared to the year before it was in the big leagues. And just no fans. The fans make the game. And that's what I think baseball kind of realized towards the end of this whole, 2020 happened. And then, they still got things they got to fight for, but they got to understand, I think they took some licks to make sure we keep the game where it is right now and hopefully build it. Because right now they had an opportunity to be the number one sport in the world, in my opinion, with being able to play at certain times and with all the stuff that happened.
Well, I remember putting out I put out a tweet or something on Instagram a couple weeks ago about the comment that the players are the only thing the owners have. And I was like, I told Chad, I don't want Marcus or Jordan to read that and think, because I thought that was a slap in the face to the fans. And maybe he was referring to the relationship between just the owners and the players, but I think it's, without fans and then players or just together, that marriage, the owners are screwed. There's nothing for you to get advertising. Nobody's going to your ballparks.
They got a chance to go take their money somewhere else and go invest it some other way. But the players like the fans a whole lot more.
Absolutely.
You say you play for the fans, but at the end of the day, the fans make you want to play better or make you want to try a little bit harder, play a little bit, and that's where you truly do play for the fans.
Well, they're selling out that ballpark for you guys.
Yeah, and it's fun to play in front of people.
Beat whoever it is you're playing.
Correct, and that's where, as high school players, like you guys played in the Valley Championship, 2 years ago. Last year, if there's 2,000 people there, it gets juiced. It's juicy.
We had almost 300 people that traveled to the coast.
Final Four, Fresno City College, 2007. I was juiced. There were so many people there. Sac City, those were the games where they get you ready. I still think the loudest place I ever pitched was in Venezuela, championship series against Magallanes, Game 7, and I walked the first guy in the fourth up. We're up 3-1 or 4-1. Walked the first guy in the fourth, and it erupts, almost as loud as Houston. Bro, crazy. Beer's going crazy. It was unbelievable. But I think that's what got me ready to go pitch in the big leagues.
Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah.
25,000, 30,000 in a real dome.
But you even talk about the city and being in the Final Four like that.
Yes.
Forget just how many people are there too. It's like the moment.
And
being in those moments, you being enough of those moments, or you lose enough one-run games, you're going to figure out eventually how to turn those into W's.
Correct. And or how to come back from that 1-1 loss. How do you do it personally? I got walked off on it against Santana, and everybody's like, damn, are you all right? And I'm like, that's not the last homer I'm giving up, I hope. Fuck. I think I'm going to keep pitching here. But how do people react is some people don't do very well. Even guys that are at the best in their game in the big leagues. Darn it, I don't know. I had something, I forgot it. We were
talking about being in the moments, the crowds.
Man, being in the moment. So me and Drew talk about this a lot, and we try to get our 12U, 13U teams, especially to start thinking about it. One of our team does really good in the last 2 innings. Some of our kids do really good early in games when there's no pressure. And so we always talk about perceived pressure, and the more times you get into these bigger moments is what you're perceiving, the more times you can block them out. So that's the coolest thing about the Yankee Stadium or Fenway is you're going out there and it's roaring. And then you get on the mound and you throw your first warm-up pitch and it's silent. You're going, whoa, this is really, really cool. And so more times you're able to knock those noises down is the better you're going to be at.
Yeah, you're not trying
success
to
at a later date, in my opinion.
Get the best of you. If you're looking at it like it's the same as making a 0-0 pitch back at Central.
Correct.
Or at Fresno City.
It's the same.
You know, if you can mentally get to that point.
And guys, I think in high school and younger, especially younger, 12, 13, 14 years old, when they're really starting to get into some of these competitive games or travel ball stuff, and they get to these peaks and they think they're at such a high breaking point on a full count, 2 outs in the 6th.
They let their mind wander to that. They let their mind wander to it's full count, bases loaded, not execute this pitch.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the same pitch no matter what. What I'm going to throw 2-2
bases
and what
empty,
I'm going to throw
bases
3-2.
loaded, right. If I'm executing.
Exactly. And so that's where that you're perceiving this pressure as so high when it's really not. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And I think some of the coaches buy into that a lot too. And when they start screaming, their energy gets high, the kids' energy gets high, and then their heartbeat starts going up. There's no way to calm that thing down. So I think a lot of the perceived pressure stuff and where you're at and how are you able to not only block out noises, but hone in what you're trying to do. My favorite thing, and you'll see a lot of really, really good big-time pitchers, big moments, they throw sliders because the hitter's sitting fastball. You're juiced up. You instead of throwing 95, you're throwing 98, and the shit's riding up a little bit or sinking a little low. You're going to throw a slider because you know you can execute, and you're not going to overthrow it. You're not going to do anything over too much, and you're going to let the hitter do the most and overswing and initially fly out is really what you're hoping for. But those are the guys, and then you see guys on the hitting side that are able to stay back and just hit a ball the right side. Who I love watching, and it happened to me, was Nolan Arenado. You just 3-2, 2 outs, doesn't matter. Cutter down and away, I'm just going to get it. I'm just going to get the barrel to it. And those are the guys that, like, they've been in that situation so much. And that's why those guys are Miguel Cabrera, the JD Martinez, they've been in the game for 15 years. The moment is not, there is no moment. They're just playing baseball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why those guys, Barry Bonds, why was Barry Bonds so good? Well, shit, he had 25 billion at-bats in the big leagues. There was no surprises. You threw this pitch, next pitch is heater in, I'm going to get to it.
Well, and there was pitchers that were like, oh, shit, it's Barry Bonds.
And Big Papi was the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's legends of Big Papi FaceTiming people in the clubhouse and going, oh, like it's whoever, this stock white righty, 88 little cutter, hey, I'm going to clip him. He'd go down there, oh, shit, Petey's up, I'm on deck, 88 cutter in, clip him. And you're going, how? He's like, I know. I know what he's going to do before he does it. And I'm going to get him. I'm not missing my pitch because I'm honed in because the moment doesn't matter. It's all about what that situation is. I know what that guy's going to do because I know him better than he knows himself, which is how good Papi was.
What was that like, just being able to see like those guys work?
So I never got to play with Papi.
I'm just saying,
he was
like
done, but
Mookie
dude,
and just seeing how these guys work.
You don't even get to see some of their stuff because they do it before they even get to the yard. They're doing stuff early. I know some guys that have their own hitting coaches that are in the cages from like 10 to 11:30 at a different facility just so they can be on their own and do their own thing. One of the coolest things that I ever saw, and this wasn't a guy that was on my team, was I think it was 2020. I go out there, Bryce Harper is doing early work in the outfield. It's 1 PM at Fenway, and he's out there with his coach by himself working on getting behind balls and throwing to third. I don't know if he had a bad day the week before, but like things like that, this guy's got whatever he had. He was already with the Phillies, so he signed for 2 whatever.
Yeah.
And he's out there, and it was 45 minutes of defensive work. And I was like, damn. And he made a nasty play that night. And I was like, he got somebody, throw somebody out. One of our guys out at home, and I was like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I like seeing. Obviously, those guys hit like crazy. But it's those, to me, the attention to detail. Xander Bogaerts playing defense like crazy. Those are the guys that I like. But watching Bryce do that, I'll never lose that sight in my head. Because I remember talking to Leonard Davis when he was with Bryce. I mean, shit, way back, 2009, 2008, 2009. And I was like, is he the truth or what? He's the truth. Like, he is the truth. Like, he is a AA. He's got it. And that's what I look at when I look at, like, Witt. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. is the truth. I mean, he's going to be – I played Bo Bichette, and I thought he was a good player. I've played Vladimir Guerrero. I think he's a good player. I think he's coming into himself a lot more than, like, where he was 2 years ago. He's right?
Yeah.
Bobby Witt is just –
kind of like a natural type.
I think he's that good, personally. I mean, I just watched him play. I faced him 9 or 10 at-bats in a matter of 6 weeks. And I was just, it was fun. It was impressive. I thought he was ahead of his time hitting wise. I thought he was a really good player.
I like hearing the stories, like because it just reminds me of like hearing like Kobe Bryant stories.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean,
I just love that stuff.
There's nobody like that guy.
No,
but,
just you see how it's no accident these guys are where they are 100%. And how good they are. It's not an accident. It just like they're blessed. Don't get me wrong, they're blessed with size and certain.
There's
abilities
a lot of them.
And
I'm not them.
Exactly.
I've had hundreds of more people blessed with more than me.
There's an extra, right? Yours is passion and determination and like
grinding.
Yeah, these guys just there's a thing other than just the ability to.
Bryce Harper's been the best player, the phenom for 15 years, right? And so that was 2020. Well, I don't know what year he got drafted. I don't even know how old he is. He's 29, I'm guessing, and he's out there every day grinding it out in right field. And that could have been his only day he ever did early work. But he's going to get props from me from being out there. Because if you're out there early on Fenway, and it wasn't like he was getting balls off the wall to see how the wall's playing. No. It was basic, fundamental outfield stuff that he was doing. And I thought it was awesome. I'd sat there and watched it for 20 minutes, eating my lunch.
That's stuff that you just don't get. Like,
so I mean, those guys are grinding. Those guys are working. I mean, I don't know. Watching some of go watch BP, and you'll see what kind of guys most of them are. But you got to watch the whole thing because most of the guys they're only shagging on the first group. Jackie Bradley is unbelievable on the first group. I mean, I remember. All right. So this is old. Vernon Wells, 2008. Right, spring training, way back. And I'm like, this guy's he's standing like, call it 40, 50 feet behind second base during BP. And he's just getting burnt on every baseball. What in the, like, what? I don't really know a whole lot about the Blue Jays at the time. I'm from California. There's not a whole lot of Blue Jay baseball going on out here. Right, so I'm finding out who he is. He's a stud, and he's getting burnt on all these baseballs. He moves back like 10 more feet, and he's catching every ball on the wall over his head, like Willie Mays Hayes. And I'm like, dude, what? Those are the guys. And he had 8 or 10 years in the big leagues at the time. And it was
a method to the madness, man.
It was extended. And I was like, and he's the one first guy that ever showed me that this guy throws me a slider, I'm clipping him. 1-1, slider, clipped him. Like 440 onto the friggin' the weight room in left field. And you're like, I got a long ways to go. And I'm still not even close. I've clipped the surface of talking to some of these guys with having like Rick Porcello help me out and DP and having guys to kind of show me a little bit of what they do and how they pitch in the big leagues. And these guys have been doing it for years and years and years, and that's why they're so good, and especially these older veterans, and why they don't need to be – Miguel Cabrera doesn't need to run a 7.060. It doesn't matter. He's going to bat 285, 290. He's going to drive in 100. More times than not. Obviously, he's getting a little old.
Yeah.
But he's unbelievable. His mind game is listening to that conversation about him and Barnes in the tunnel one day in Detroit was pretty fun. You know, just you're learning why these guys are so good, and it's a lot of it is the mental, right? Everybody's blessed in the big leagues. They're talented, dude. But it's how mentally can you stay on it? Can you be with it and stay to what your true plan is? Both offensively and pitching wise.
I love it, man. You normally got to pay for this kind of stuff.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do.
Marcus, I appreciate you jumping in and filling in for Big Roth.
No problem.
I didn't know how I was going to go. It was weird. I don't have my guy here with me. But dude, yeah, that's
by the way, real quick, early shout out. I've been listening to like the old school when I'm working out in the morning because I don't. It's either talk radio. I'm not listening, or I'll put so I've been listening like Little Pappy. Some of the first 8, first 10 is the OGs. The OGs, and it was cool, man. I appreciate listening to some of the older stuff, especially how things were going when you guys first started. And you guys really didn't know what you were fully getting into.
No, I had no clue.
And now and even the very first time you guys asked me, I was like, yeah, you guys do a couple, I'll listen to it, and I'm down to talk. It's just a matter of I don't want to be the invite only guy for some reason.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll listen, and I listened to 1 or 2 of them, and 20 minutes, I'm in. When I get home, I'm in.
I love it, man.
And now, obviously, anytime you guys, I love
absolutely.
talking.
Well, no, as long as if you're down, we're gonna do. No, it's, it's funny. I don't even know if we've ever even told like the origins of how this all started. But like Roth and I, we've talked about how he despised me when I came back to Madera, and we worked that out, and now we're best friends.
You guys are boys.
You know what I mean? And so our conversations were just this kind of stuff constantly, all day. A 30, 40 minute, and next thing you know, an hour has gone by, and it's been nothing but baseball. And I said, dude, I used to do this years ago. Like back in 2005 or 6, I did one, more music-based.
Yeah.
And so I just bought the shit, and I was like, hey, go get a mic and just come into my office. And that was it, dude. There was nothing out at the time.
We've been wanting to do it just to get around a round table of some guys. And, I know what we need to do, honestly, is I think we need to get like Jason Pappy in here, Drew, and let's get 8 or 10 guys and throw up 2 or 3, not ideas, but topics, and run it and just see, because I think
we're in.
I think especially if you grab minds, especially the high school minds, and really try to grab some of these high school guys and get some, like if you had Matt Garza or myself, or if Jason Donald can come and try to get some of the pro ideas into the high school but like get it built into the high school. I think that's why some of those guys at these programs where these pro guys are helping out more times than not, they're so good.
Yeah.
I've watched some of the practices and I was
sense.
like, holy shit, I've never seen that shit before. Some of the things that I saw some of these guys doing in high school practices, I was like, I haven't seen it in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And so like they have drills and I think it'd be kind of cool to kind of throw things off of guys. And if you get, I know Prieto would do it. I know Pappy would come in and chop it up. I was actually out there the other day talking to his kids and watch the Garza play the JV team, and it's fun to go out there and watch the young kids, and they try to show out.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, they do.
It's fun.
They do. That would be. We've talked about doing stuff like that. The only hard part is just getting everybody together.
I know.
Setting that date but yeah, we've Pappy's down. I think a lot of it too, even considering the new playoff situation that's going on around here, is
and that's
a disaster.
I don't know.
We'll have to break it down. I'll bring you back in here when
I don't like it.
You research a little bit. But I just don't understand the top 8 thing. You put 3 or 4 track teams now in Division 2, and you've got Kerman playing Clovis North potentially, or whoever, Central.
Because in that reason, you shouldn't even have a league. You should just be able like open schedules.
Yeah.
Right? Because if Sanger has a chance to be a D1 team, they need to go play Buchanan to go show. Let's see how D1 you are if you want to be in the playoffs, or whoever, you know what I mean. And that's where if you're playing in the track, Central's playing 3 games again. They get beat up on in the track right now. Not right now, but I mean in the past 8 years.
They have.
I mean. So it's that's a tough gig to go through. As a player, it was hard to be in the track. It was fun, but I mean, golly, it's demoralizing.
You can take your licks. I remember being at Madera.
You guys were in the track when I was there.
It was hard, man, and
that was a fun one to go to.
I know. Teams have their struggles and all, but there's just nothing fun about going to the park back then and knowing we can't compete with these guys.
Yeah,
I mean, we think my last year in the track we were 3-12.
It's not, and Central had a pretty good stretch of that same thing. And there was days that I remember Fonts, if you weren't over 500, he wouldn't put you in the playoffs, which I hated at the time. And now that I'm a little bit older and I'm not 22, I respect the shit out of that.
Nothing comes for free, man.
No, and that's what he was ahead of his time, and especially on that, in my opinion, he was way ahead of it.
Buchanan lucked out big time with Coach Fonts.
Yeah,
and no question about it. And that, I mean, they still retain that stat, but no, Coach Fonts is awesome.
But they do some of the best scouting.
They do.
Saw Kemp the other day scouting
again, like before.
They do it all.
It's no mistake.
There's a reason why they're good.
There's no mistake. You know what I mean? It's not an accident.
Yeah. And it's attention to detail. It's focus. It's having guys that can explain what the process is and also who've been there.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the hardest thing for me, is to listen to somebody who's never been in that situation, it doesn't need to be 50,000 fans. It needs to, have you ever thrown a 2-2 slider when your hands are a little sweaty in the 7th? No, you haven't. So, you know what I mean? That's where now can guys get you ready to throw the 2-2 slider if they've never done it? Yeah, they can, but it's hard for them to explain it to you. And so I had a pitching coach who never pitched a day in his life. Dana Levangie, big league pitching coach for the Red Sox. I loved him. But he never once told you how to do something. He never once said, hey, you have to do it. You should do it like this. I think you would like this. Because he never did it. No, what he did was he goes, hey, you're going to throw your slider because the shit's nasty, and you're going to throw it this. You're going to do it right here. This is how much it breaks. Let's start it here. Don't do anything different. Throw the same. Do you. Let's just adjust how you are doing it. And that's what I loved it, personally. But all he did was instill confidence in you. So he'd walk out in between inning or mound visit, and he's just instilling confidence in what you need to do to execute. But he never told you how to execute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not telling you how to do your job. He's just telling you how to be a better you. And that's what he was one of the few that I ever got out of. He never did it, but he caught big league bullpens for 15 years. He just never threw one. So he knew what he was doing. He was very good. And when I was struggling, I actually hit him up. And he goes, I'll look at film. He goes, man, just trust in yourself. Because that was his biggest thing.
That's a part of being a coach sometimes too.
Yeah,
Like
and that's what you're there to help, how to get guys to tick, what gets guys going. And some guys you got to put a foot in their ass. Some guys you got to pat them on the butt. Some guys you just got to give them confidence.
Yeah. And we've seen. I'm sure you've had coaches that have been to the moon and back, but couldn't coach a lick.
I have, and a lot of the guys that are coaching. Yes and no.
Maybe not in the big leagues or.
And I've been very blessed with some of the coaches that I've had growing up. I couldn't ask for better coaches, honestly, from Gamini and Ross in middle school to Weyer in high school to Coach Scott and Ross and Gamini and Weyer at Fresno City. So I had the same coaches for 7 years of my life, which was, you couldn't get better coaches than those guys at that level for sure. There was, with Ross playing 8 years, Weyer played quite a while. Obviously, the staff at City's good. I've been blessed to have good coaches. But yeah, you do see guys that have pitched in the big leagues that can't really
relate or to you anyways. You know what I mean?
And you see guys in the big leagues that hit and they go, how'd you do that? And you go, I don't know.
I don't want to say relate. Obviously they relate because they did it, but I'm saying like it's personable. They're not
correct.
Their personality doesn't fit that kind of job. They're not coaches.
Correct. And that's where I don't like coaching, but I love to instruct. I love helping kids. I like putting 20 minutes, 25 minutes into a kid and letting him figure it out from there. But giving 3 hours for a team.
But that is coaching.
It is coaching, but
I got what you're saying.
It's a one-on-one. I would rather take a kid after a bad outing in a game and go and talk to him about how to figure it out and fix it, because otherwise he's on suicide watch for the next 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, especially, and you got to know, but what kid is it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's kids at Fresno City that you need to give them a hug. There's kids that are 0 for 7 with 7 punch outs, and I'm going to punch you in the face if you don't make the adjustment. And he'll make the adjustment. Right? But because they're two completely different players that I've known forever. But yeah, that's a big part of it, is what makes guys tick. But that's where the little 20-minute, especially in the bullpen, little 20-minute spurts can help guys go a long way if they want to use it. But yeah, getting back to that's what a lot of those coaches need, in my opinion. I think it'd be kind of cool and that's why a lot of the programs are the reasons why they're good. And they do it all. They do all the little stuff to help the small guys, and it's on the JUCO level here. It's everywhere. Talking about some of the guys you listen to, I need to listen to Vanderhook. I got to listen to, and Savage are my next two. I'll listen to the next 2 mornings.
I'm gonna
working out.
You've inspired me.
Bro, old school.
You've inspired me, because here's the deal. I would literally just had this conversation today, and I don't listen to this often.
I don't listen to my own podcast because I don't. It's weird, in my opinion. I asked other people, how did it sound, just to make sure I don't sound or like the last one, I didn't do anything over the edge of COVID or whatever. But I like listening to what other people. I like listening to other people's stories, and it gets me going. You talk about the call-ups for Labby, bro. It makes you think of yours.
Oh, those are my favorite. The call-ups, the first hits, the first strikeouts, that stuff is some of my favorite stuff.
There's no way to. If you've been there, or like you went in the World Series, call a World Series, or going to it, the people that have been close to that, they can relate. Their heart starts getting, ooh, I like that, and that's what the call-ups, they get me going. I love them.
Those are one of my favorite things, is to hear the stories like that. You've inspired. I'm gonna have to go back now, and I listen. I edit it, so I've said this before. That's why I don't typically go. Yeah. Or maybe I'll wait a couple weeks and then go back.
But there's some like that I just haven't listened to. And so I was like, I'm going to go back and go way back and go and flip through them.
The other thing, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've noticed, and some people may notice, I know some of my close friends that listen to it a lot, of like, hey, you guys haven't had a guest on in a while. And kind of that was the goal at some point for Chad and I to be able to thrive on this without needing somebody to help us do that. And because our audience is like, dude, the people that listen to this are awesome. I love it. I get messages from people, not just in California, like other states.
I love that.
Like, dude, it's so awesome to hear from people that listen to this, and for Chad and I to now not have to depend on somebody to come sit in here and help,
roll it.
Roll that. We don't need that. That's been the goal the whole time. But it's fun to hear those stories. So,
and that's when I first started thinking of like trying to see where you guys were trying to go, and it was a little different from the beginning. Was you were almost giving a biography of these guests that you had, and that's kind of what my first one was. And then after that, we really just started talking about pitching and what was really going on in the big leagues and stuff like that. But I liked it because you hear where these guys come from. Like Steve Pierce, like I didn't know any of it. I don't.
This is one of my favorite ones.
And all I think about is I think of Steve Pierce with the Red Sox. Like every time I hear the name.
Yeah.
And so like I knew he went to Fresno State, and I knew he coached at Reedley, and I knew he came from some D1s. But it was really cool listening to his story and why he is and why he's turned that program around.
Yeah.
And that's what I like that. Like you're going to understand and see where guys come from. Where guys have came from is where they're going to end up going and how their path is going. And if you're going to send kids to Reedley, why? Why are you going to send them there over Fresno City or COS or West Hills, wherever locally, Antelope Valley even, because of where his path has been and what he's done as a culture, I think is really cool. I've seen him play one game in the last 10 years, but just listening to his podcast or his little interview and understanding of the game a lot.
Absolutely. You're talking to him.
He was really cool, and it opened up a lot of eyes. And I listened to that yesterday morning working out.
I'll say this to Coach Purse, and shout out to him. He's early on, and even to this day, he's one of the, I won't say few, but like legit supporters of this that's really, and I mean like really encouraged me to continue. And
Good.
Like he's given me names for guests. He's the one that got us Coach Savage and Coach Vanderhook, and
sick.
And he's gone out of his way for me and
to get
Chad.
a connect.
Yes, but on just since the start.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate him so much. I mean, Coach Scott has been good to us. Labby's been extremely good to us and gotten us guys for the show.
Saw him this morning. That's my guy.
So no, we've been really lucky, and I'm just glad that like even like I love Luplo's is one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
Of like, I'll never forget. Chad's like, hey, their season ended. He hits 2 bombs on a Sunday, I think. Season ends, they're done. And that night he's like, hey, Roth, I'll be in town on Thursday.
Flying in.
Let's set it up. And we're like, oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, no egos.
No.
You've been nothing but like gracious to us. And it's when you hear about, did they big league you? We've not had one big league us yet.
No, because most of those people are, I don't want to say humble because that's not the right word. That doesn't make, but it's just like they know where they're at. And all they want to do is spread the word. I listened to the Garza one the other day, but working out with him and understanding him a little bit more mentally, bro, he's that like stuff like that gets me going, especially when you start talking about the pitching side and how to do stuff. But the guests that you guys have had, and I think if you guys even went into getting those guys to have roundtable talks, I think you'd kind of like what me and Luke did.
Yeah.
When we were on during COVID, I think you just get guys and you throw 3 or 4 topics out. I think you're going to see some cool stuff pop up and how some high school programs will run it compared to what Reedley does or what COS does. You're going to see, and I think you'll build a culture in the whole city.
And then there's I think that'd be fantastic. It's funny because I was thinking about that too, even like with Pappy, right? Pappy's 11. Fresno High is 11-1 right now, I think. 11-1, and he's got 12 guys, 13 guys.
12.
12 guys.
I walked out there literally yesterday. Droz, where's the rest of the team? And Pappy's talking to him, and one of the kids turns around and goes, "This is all of us. This is it." And I was like, "Oh."
But in that, what are you doing?
Shit.
What are you doing within your practice? I know you have enough coaches, but
they got plenty of coaches.
Just there's things you're doing with these 12 guys that they're scheduled to start. I guarantee you, Pappy did not think they were going to go 6-1 or whatever they were. 6. You know what I mean? There's, I guarantee.
And
we didn't
right now
talk about it, but I'm just telling you, he probably wouldn't have put his money on them to be as or start as the way they started.
Oh no! And I mean, I talked to him a little bit early, and he was worried about arms and throwing strikes, and
Yeah, they're not built for that kind of tournament. They're just not built for that.
Not at all. And
a lot of teams are not built for that. Let's be clear.
Very, very few, especially right now this year especially in high school ball right now. There's not a whole lot of arms that are big arms, I should say. But yeah, they're playing again. And right now, I just walked out there. They had a little rut with playing Roosevelt. They ended up winning, but they're in that little funk of, and we see it. I've seen it 3 times already this year at the city level, Central, and I forgot what the other team was. I think it was Clovis North. But the guys show up and they just think they're going to walk. High school baseball is not the same as college. Like UCLA can show up and go play Cal State Bakersfield, and they're probably just going to show up and win. But no team in high school at any level here can just show up and think they're going to win. They're going to pitch their 7th pitcher, and they're just going to go out there and just beat a team because they're just that much more talented than the other teams. I watched 3 L's from teams that should not have lose this year, and I haven't been home a whole lot, but I think it's the kids playing. When you're playing on a team and you're going to a competition, you know they're not very good, you play down to their level. And I watch it, and I just want to make a point, like, we need to quit doing that. And I don't know if that's the coaches or the players or the mentality or a lot of it is the whole week, the coach's mentality is, oh, shit, we're playing this shitty team, the School of the Blind. We're going to roll them. Right? And then the School of the Blind shows up, and they got a fucking 6'5" pitcher throwing 90, and you're going, oh, shit. The guy found glasses or something,
He hears the strike zone very well.
And so, like, the whole time, the coach is saying that, then the players are in the cage like, oh, shit, it doesn't matter. We'll turn it on next week.
Well, then they get frustrated if they lose or they win by 1. And it's like, well,
and then
why are you mad at? You underestimated them as much as the players did.
And I told the coach, I said, hey, don't take this team lightly. I know the guy that's pitching. He's pretty good. Oh, we whooped their ass last time. Okay, I'm just letting you know. I'll be back in an hour. Make sure you're winning. I went and picked up my son, came back to the game. They're down 5-2. Good shit.
It's baseball gods, man.
Hey, don't. Exactly. And it's a humble pie. Same, it happens to everybody. I got called up to the big leagues in 2014. Within a year, I was playing indie ball. Shit, I made my way back to the big leagues. I was in the big leagues in 2019 through ball great. 2022 spring training. I'm right here doing a podcast. Which I love.
Hey, it's not all bad. Not all bad.
But you know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
fast, man. It's called humble pie, and if you're not getting it, the baseball guys will come and get you. And I think I'm part of that. You think you're not better than you are, but you think you're on top of the world, and you got to make sure you're staying on your grind. If that's at a high school level, at the big league level, if you're not grinding, somebody else is, and they're going to catch you.
Hey. You usually got to pay for some of this stuff. I'm just telling you. All right. I will finally shut it down. Marcus, dude, seriously, thank you, man. Thanks to everybody for listening. Again, next week we got more coming at you to Hit or Die. Got another game day coming out on YouTube hopefully next week. So stay with Hit or Die podcast. That's it, man.
Thanks again for having me.
You got it, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.